Superheroes are pretty much staggering around and dying right now. I don't think this is necessary. I don't think it holds for all of them, but certainly for most of them. There are a very few, maybe only 2 or 3 comic book characters that have been created that have stood, 5 decades of time and have been adapted 2 different times. With Batman, you've got a character you can describe in just a few seconds. His parents were murdered by criminals. He's worrying on crime for the rest of his life. His motive is there. He looks great, and he is so simple in his design and in his concept that he's open to an incredible number of interpretations. He was created in 1938, and the character who was created then was just ruthless in his methods, terrifying to criminals. Over the years, that got softened and softened because people started thinking that comics had to be just kids. And once they decided they were made for kids, all of a sudden, Batman had to be made much nicer. And eventually, just no kids relate to him anymore. What I've been trying to do recently is to take the stuff of the old comics and do it in a way that's worth reading for me. Whatever stories I write have to do with my reactions to the world around me, the world that I live in right now with 1980s America, which is a very frightening, silly place. It's often silly and frightening at the same time, and I hope Dark Knight is often silly and frightening at the same time.
Better people are coming into the field, more intelligent, more demanding artists are coming into the field, who are then begetting a more intelligent and more adult audience. So I think you have a totally unstoppable future.
Do you think that you were working on something really hard back?
Late at night, around 2 o'clock in the morning, while I was working on the drawing board, I felt that way. But in the morning, when I brought my work to the printer engraver, I wasn't that sure. But in my secret studio, under the light on the drawing board, I kind of fantasized that I was working in a permanent art. I felt it was going to be here someday.
That's it, Ma. Now point it towards me. That's something I want to say. I mean, I got something I want to say. Okay, hi ladies, germs, and what have you. Hello, you just finished watching Comic Books Unbound. What you saw was a Frank Miller post-1980. I wonder if that's the Frank Miller that exists now. I think he's a swell guy, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think that's the Frank Miller that exists now. What we're living in is the world post-Smallville. Post all that shit. Post the wonderful that they gave up on TV, that they did all that. We're living in that. We are living in what happens after. What happens after you. We're living in what happens after.
I mentioned before that the final responsibility for the control of comics rests with you. A few cities have already done something about them, not too many, but a few. Legislation against unfit comic books is possible. Legislation that will interfere with the rights of a free press. And remember this. America is the richest country in the world. With the world's biggest producer.
And you should keep that in mind.
But our most important commodity, the one commodity we can't put a price tag on, is our children. And now, a final word from our sponsor.
The comic book code, I looked into it, officially does not exist now. Since I posted the beginning video, officially it doesn't exist, and the companies govern themselves. But you and I both know that's false. That's false. The comic book code consists of the inner comic book code exists of very, very simple things. Like, Yeah, it exists of very, very simple things. Like Max pulling out a stick of gum in Batman when she should be pulling out a cigarette. And it's a white piece of gum, too. So, yeah. That's where we're at. I'm horribly excited about Watchmen because that was a true landmark in its field. It was a true landmark in its field, and to have them bring that back, yeah, that's basically where we're at now. We're in a world that the great Frank Miller has given up. The great Frank Miller has given up, and he has become, yes, anyway, that's that. Thank you. Coming up on the World of Bob will be that Resurrection Man. 9 that I promised you. And once the Resurrection Man 9 is out, yeah, everything, once that's out, yeah, I got back on the horse because you have to keep going. Decompose said so in his documentary, A Great White Life. You can't just stop. You can't. No, that's not what you do. Yeah. Don't just stop. You have to keep going. You have to keep fighting. Regardless of the what they put you in. So